Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be pitting two of the biggest YouTube channels in history against one another in what can only be right now determined to be hypothetical, but will probably become reality within the next few months. These are two YouTube creators you certainly know at this point, MrBeast and the one, the only, PewDiePie. These two are two of the most respected, most viewed YouTube creators in the history of the platform. They both have done phenomenal and incredible things, not only for viewership on YouTube, but really just kind of setting new boundaries and trends and bars for YouTube. PewDiePie was kind of like one of the first real true superstars of YouTube, obviously. You had a lot of people who went viral back in the 2000s and early 2010s, but nobody's really ever gone PewDiePie viral. This guy is a legitimate celebrity because of his YouTube content, and he set a lot of new trends for the platform and for content on the platform, and obviously was embroiled in what I can only describe as probably the first massive YouTube war. PewDiePie versus T-Series, I bet you guys remember that back in the day. That was a pretty good time to be on YouTube, I'm not gonna lie, because that was one of the last times that it felt like there was true community on the platform. But what if I told you that PewDiePie very soon is actually going to be dethroned? He will no longer be the king of YouTube. Now, you can already say that this technically happened because T-Series won the subscriber war, but PewDiePie is a solo dolo bird, you know what I mean? He's basically the only guy, besides maybe like some editors or other people on his team, and he was basically fighting against a massive music conglomerate in T-Series, so it wasn't really a fair fight to begin with, but he's more or less been viewed as the king of YouTube for quite some time now, being the most subscribed individual creator on the platform. But it looks like that's actually probably about to change, because MrBeast is very quickly approaching in subscribers, and it could actually only really be, at least at this point, a couple more months before MrBeast is the new king of YouTube. So first we're going to compare where both of these YouTubers are in subscriber counts right now and talk about that. So PewDiePie, the man, has 111 million subscribers, which is a completely mind-boggling statistic. I mean, it's definitely one of the most important and one of the most impressive accomplishments in YouTube history to have this many people subscribe to your channel. And MrBeast is actually sneaking up on PewDiePie pretty quickly with 99 million subscribers on his YouTube channel, leaving about a gap of around 11.5 to 12 million subscribers before the two actually have an equal sub count. Now, you might be sitting here like, oh, well, Optimus, that's 12 million subscribers, man. That's not even close to enough, really, to come back. You know, that's going to take MrBeast years for him to gain. Well, you would actually be wrong about that. So when you go on Social Blade and you actually look at the statistics here, in 6 months, MrBeast is projected to have 114 million subscribers, which would put him 3 million ahead of PewDiePie, meaning that realistically it'll be a little bit quicker than 6 months at this rate before MrBeast actually surpasses PewDiePie's subscriber count. And the reason that is because MrBeast has unlocked a completely different level of virality with his content. MrBeast is able to get view counts that people previously thought were pretty much impossible for like not a company to basically get. Now, keep in mind, MrBeast has corporatized in a lot of different ways. You know, he has a pretty good-sized team of people that help him with his content. He definitely has editors and people like that behind the scenes. He's even ventured out into completely different things like the MrBeast merchandise and the MrBeast burger. But MrBeast, at the core of the channel, still, I think, represents pretty heavily what OG YouTube was actually about. This guy has unlocked the formula. He's literally went into the fucking Krusty Krab and stole the Krabby Patty secret formula on how to get views on YouTube. In a lot of ways, I don't think there's anybody who's ever been as impressively talented, I guess, at getting views on YouTube as MrBeast is. This guy uploaded a video 2 weeks ago and it has 42 million views. That is absolutely absurd, and that's not even close to the record. I mean, you look at his most popular video on his channel, which only came out 7 months ago, and it has 271 million views. Like, it's just, it's absurd in all reality how many views this guy can get on average. There is no drop off, there is no fall off. It's just straight up performance, and it's actually fucking incredible. Now, you might be wondering, oh, well, Optimus, why is this important? Why does this even matter in the first place? It's just a number on a screen. And I understand that mentality, but if you're not a creator on YouTube or you don't really understand the YouTube platform, it's a lot harder to really appreciate what MrBeast is doing. In a pretty major way, MrBeast overtaking PewDiePie in subscriber totals will kind of signify a completely new era of YouTube. When I think about this, I kind of like to think about it in a little bit of like a sports analogy, right? So here in the United States, basketball is pretty big, so I guess that's what I'll use, right? Now, one of the undisputed greatest players of all time is Michael Jordan. A lot of people consider him to outright be the best basketball player that's ever lived. And in a way, he was kind of like, well, when you compare it to this era, at least now, he came first, you know what I mean? And that's kind of how PewDiePie is. Widely considered the greatest YouTuber of all time, and he came before MrBeast in a way, right? He's absolutely dominated the platform for like a decade at this point, and I like to think of MrBeast as kind of being like LeBron James. Another one of the most undisputed greatest players of all time, but he comes in a new era. He comes a little bit after the first one, right? He does things in a completely different way. He sets his own legacy up, and he eventually takes the throne, right? I kind of really see this as a new era for YouTube because there's going to be a new person at the top of it all. There's going to be a new person that everybody looks at as the inspiration for the future generation of YouTube creators. Because if it wasn't for PewDiePie doing what he did, and if it wasn't for PewDiePie gaining the numbers that he did and making the content that he did and basically creating the legacy that he did, truth be told, a whole lot of your favorite YouTubers probably would not exist at all, and that even includes myself. And the same thing is going to be said about MrBeast in a decade. You gotta think, there's some 10-year-old kid out there right now that's watching MrBeast videos every single day when he comes home from school, and he's gonna be the next king of YouTube. He's gonna be the first guy to hit 200 million subscribers or whatever, right? And he's growing up watching MrBeast, kind of like in a way I grew up watching, like, you know, PewDiePie and other people like that. Well, to be honest, I grew up watching people before PewDiePie. I was kind of already getting into my teenage and everything years at the point when PewDiePie really started blowing up, so MrBeast is going to signify a pretty big change with YouTube because he, once again, he's kind of just cracked the YouTube algorithm in a completely different way. And when people come up studying his YouTube game compared to people like PewDiePie, there's going to be a lot of different outcomes, you know what I mean? MrBeast spends a ridiculous amount of money, time, and effort making the content that he does. It's kind of like the pinnacle of YouTube in a way. It's such watchable content that anyone can consume it and enjoy it, you know? I love watching MrBeast's videos because the guy comes up with great topics, he puts a lot of work into the production of his content, the videos are literally the perfect length to consume. They're not too short to the point where, you know, you're left wanting more all the time, but they're also not so long that like it kind of becomes draining to watch the video. And the upload schedule, in my opinion, for a channel like his is perfect. He gets out a video like once every month or 2 or 3, and it creates this kind of thing where it's like, you know, you're left wanting a new MrBeast video, so you look forward to the next video, and it always meets your expectations. And so when MrBeast does eventually overtake PewDiePie as the king of YouTube, it's going to signify something completely different. And honestly, I'm pretty excited for it. I'm actually looking forward to it. I know a lot of people probably aren't hyped up to know that PewDiePie will eventually no longer be the king of YouTube, but there is something that you have to consider. I'm not making this video to trash PewDiePie or make it seem like he's irrelevant now or like that he's not, you know, an OG or a king in any way. It's about the fact that PewDiePie has not given up on YouTube, but has definitely chilled out a lot. I mean, I looked at PewDiePie's channel and the guy's uploading like 5 to 10 times a month. He's just uploading videos he wants to upload for the sake of what he wants to make. PewDiePie has already been on top for so long, you know, and you can obviously only be on top for so long before somebody comes along and takes the throne. So it's really not a bad thing to look forward to, you know, it's something that was inevitably going to happen, right? But honestly, I'm really respecting the way PewDiePie has directed himself, you know? He hasn't sold out just making content that he doesn't want to make. The guy just makes what he wants to make at the pace that he wants to make it at, you know? He's already made all the money in the world. He's already been famous. He's already beat the YouTube game. You know, he's just completing side quests at this point, while MrBeast is still kind of in his prime. So at that point, it's a little hard to compare the two, but I mean, at the end of the day, this is what's happening. And within the next 6 months or so, we're going to see probably a repeat, in my opinion, of what we saw with the T-Series versus PewDiePie thing. I think eventually we're going to see a MrBeast versus PewDiePie race where PewDiePie fans and MrBeast fans are going to rally and try to push the respective creators to the #1 spot. I think that MrBeast is pretty convincingly going to win. He has way more progress in the YouTube algorithm. He has way more active viewers at this point. He's probably creating the pinnacle of YouTube content at this point as well. He just kind of has all the momentum, and it's going to be pretty be damn hard, I would say, for PewDiePie to continue to keep that #1 spot. It would be very impressive for him to do so. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below, and until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, talking about MrBeast versus PewDiePie, and signing out.